Chapter 2. Object of writing the work, incapacity and boldness in the undertaking, hot discussion, conferring significant and prophetic title of Hemad Panth, and necessity of a guru. In the last chapter, the author mentioned in the original Marathi book that he would state the reason that led him to undertake the work, and about the persons qualified to read the same, and now in this chapter he starts to tell the story. The object of writing this work. In the first chapter, I described Sai Baba's miracle of checking and destroying the epidemic of cholera by grinding wheat and throwing the flour on the outskirts of the village. I heard other miracles of Sai Baba to my great delight, and this delight burst forth into this poetic work, the Sai Satcharita. I also thought that the description of these grand miracles of Sai Baba would be interesting and instructive to his devotees, and would remove their sins. And so I began to write the sacred life and teachings of Sai Baba. The life of a saint is neither logical nor dialectical. It shows us the true and great path. Incapacity and boldness in the undertaking of the writing of Sai Satcharita. Hemad Panth thought that he was not a fit person to undertake this work. He said, "When I do not even know the life of my intimate friend, nor do I know my own mind, then how can I possibly write the life of a saint or describe the nature of incarnations, which even the Vedas were not able to do? One must be a saint himself before he can know other saints. Otherwise, how can I describe their glory? To write the life of a saint is the most difficult, though one may as well measure the depth of the water of the 7 seas, or enclose the sky with cloth trappings. I knew that this was the most venturous undertaking, which might expose me to ridicule. I therefore invoked Sai Baba's grace. The premier poet saint of Maharashtra, Sri Gyaneshwar Maharaj, has stated that the Lord loves those who write the lives of the saints, and the saints also have a peculiar method of their own of getting the service which the devotees long for successfully accomplished. The saints inspire the work, and the devotee becomes only an indirect cause or instrument to achieve the end. For instance, in 1700 Shaka year, the poet Mahipati aspired to write the lives of saints. Saints inspired him and got the work done. So also, in 1800 Shaka year, Das Ganuji's service was accepted. The former wrote 4 works, namely Bhakt Vijaya, Sant Vijaya, Bhakta Lilamrit, and Santa Lilamrit, while the latter wrote 2, Bhakta Lilamrit and Santa Kathamrit, in which the lives of modern saints were described. In chapters 31, 32, 33 of Bhakta Lilamrit, and in chapter 57 of Santa Kathamrit, the sweet life and teachings of Sai Baba were very well depicted. These have been separately published in Sai Leela magazine, number 11, 12, and volume 17, and the readers are advised to read these chapters. So also, Sai Baba's wonderful Leelas are described by Mrs. Savitribai Raghunath Tendulkar of Bandra in a small decent book named Sri Sainath Bhajanmala. Das Ganu Maharaj has also composed various sweet poems on Sai Baba. A devotee named Amidas Bhavani Mehta has also published some stories of Sai Baba in Gujarati. Some numbers of Sai Prabha, a magazine published by Dakshina Bhiksha Sanstha of Sai Shirdi, are also published. Then the question of objection comes in mind. That while so many works regarding Sai Baba are already extant, why should this one, the Sai Satcharita, be written? And where's the necessity of it? My answer is plain and simple. The life of Sai Baba is as wide and deep as the infinite ocean, and all can dive deep into this ocean and take out precious gems of knowledge and of bhakti, and distribute them to the aspiring public. The stories, parables, and teachings of Sai Baba are truly very wonderful. They will give peace and happiness to people who are afflicted with sorrows and heavily loaded with miseries of this worldly existence, and also bestow knowledge and wisdom, both in the worldly and in spiritual domains. If these teachings of Sai Baba, which are as interesting and instructive as the Vedic lore, are listened to and meditated upon, the devotees will get what they long for, which is union with the Brahman, mastery in eightfold yoga, and bliss of meditation. So I thought that I should call these stories together. That would be my best upasana. This collection would be most delightful to those simple souls whose eyes were not blessed with Sai Baba's darshan. So, I set about collecting Sai Baba's teachings and expressions, the outcome of his boundless and natural self-realization. It was Sai Baba who inspired me in this matter. In fact, I surrendered my ego at his feet and thought that my path was clear, and that he would make me quite happy here and in the next world. I could not myself ask Sai Baba to give me permission for this work, so I requested Mr. Madhav Rao Deshpande, alias Shama, Baba's most intimate devotee, to speak to him for me. Shama pleaded for my cause and said to Sai Baba, "This Anna Sahib wishes to write your biography. Don't say that you are a poor begging fakir and there is no necessity to write it. But if you agree and help him, he will write, or rather, your feet and your grace will accomplish the work. Without your consent and blessing, nothing can be done successfully." When Sai Baba heard Shama's request, he was much moved and blessed Hemad Pant by giving his udi, or sacred ashes, and placing his boon-bestowing hand on Hemad Pant's head. He said, "Let him make a collection of stories and experiences. Keep notes and memos. I will help him. He is only an outward instrument. I should myself write my autobiography and satisfy the wishes of my devotees. He should get rid of his ego and place it or surrender it at my feet. The person who acts like this in life, him I helped the most. And what of my life stories? I serve him in his house in all possible ways, when his ego is completely annihilated and there is left no trace of it. I myself shall enter into him and shall myself write my own life. Hearing my stories and teachings will create faith in devotees' hearts, and they will easily get self-realization and bliss. let there be no instance on establishing one's own view, no attempt to refute others' opinions, no discussion of pros and cons of any subject. The word discussion put in my mind of my promise to explain the story of how I got the title of Hemad Panth. And now I will begin to tell you the story. I was on very close friendly terms with Kaka Sahib Dikshit and Nana Sahib Chandorkar. Both these gentlemen pressed me to go to Shirdi and have Baba's darshan, and I promised them to do so. But something in the interval turned up which prevented me from going to Shirdi. The son of a friend of mine at Lonavala fell ill. My friend tried all possible means, physical and spiritual, but the fever would not abate. At length, he got his guru to sit by the bedside of his son. But this too was of no avail. Hearing this, I thought, what was the utility of the guru if he could not save my friend's son? If the guru can't do anything for us, why should I go to Shirdi at all? Thinking in this way, I postponed my Shirdi trip, but the inevitable must happen, and it happened in this case as follows. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar, who was a Prant officer, was going on tour to Bassein. From Thana he came to Dadar and was waiting for a train bound for Bassein. In the meanwhile, a Bandra local turned up. He sat in it and came to Bandra, and sent for me, and took me to task for putting off my Shirdi trip. Nana's argument for my Shirdi trip was convincing and delightful, and so I decided to start for Shirdi the same night. I packed up my luggage and started for Shirdi. I planned to go to Dadar and there catch a train for Manmad, and so I booked for myself Dadar train and sat in it. While the train was to start, a Mohammedan gentleman came hastily to my compartment, and seeing all my paraphernalia, asked me where I was bound to. I told him about my plan. He then suggested that I should go straight to Boribandar and not get down at Dadar, for the Manmad mail train did not get down at Dadar at all. If this little miracle or Leela had not happened, I would not have reached Shirdi the next day as settled, and many doubts would have assailed me. But that was not to be. As fortune favored me, I reached Shirdi the next day before 9 or 10 a.m. Mr. Babu Sahib, Kaka Dikshit, was waiting for me there. This was in 1910 AD, when there was only one place called Sathesvara for lodging pilgrims devotees. After alighting from the Tanga, I was very anxious to have darshan, when the great devotee Tatya Sahib Nulkar returned from the masjid and said that Sai Baba was at the corner of the Vara, and that I should first get the preliminary darshan and then after bath see him at leisure. Hearing this, I ran and prostrated before Baba, and then my joy knew no bounds. I found more than what Nana Sahib Chandorkar had told me. All my senses were satisfied, and I forgot thirst and hunger. The moment I touched Sai Baba's feet, I began a new lease of life. I felt myself much obliged to those who spurred and helped me to get this darshan, and I considered them as my real relatives, and I cannot repay their debt. I only remember them and prostrate mentally before them. The peculiarity of Sai Baba's darshan, as I found it, is that by his darshan, our thoughts are changed, the force of previous actions is abated, and gradually non-attachment of dispassion towards worldly objects grows up. It is by the merit of actions in many past births that such darshan is got. And if only you see Sai Baba, really all the world becomes or assumes the form of Sai Baba.